Welcome to my channel, my name is Valerio and today we're gonna review the Getter Black from Blitzway. And for the one that have no idea about where this getter came from, this is from the anime Shin Getter the Last Days, if I'm not wrong. This is the getter of the protagonist, not from the first episode but down the line. And that's all really I have to tell you about the story. I bought this one from Hobby Japan for around 210 USD, give it or take it. And while this is a new product, it's not a new mold, as a few years back Blitzway released the normal version of this getter, so with the classic colors red, white and whatnot. Now this is not a completely recolor because they did added some ratchet joints to it, and they did change the paint, and they did add some weight to the model, so to give it a more premium feeling. However, overall the exterior aspect is still the same as before, so this is just in black and silver color. And well, that's really all. The package is not that big, honestly, it's pretty small, and compared to the latest release by Blitzway, other than the Cantam, this is cheaper than usual, so it's cheaper than the Voltron, it's cheaper of all the other ones. Now once we open the box, we do expect to see accessories, and this is exactly what we find ourselves with. Now, the only disappointing bit is that there is not a display stand, so you cannot really do flying pose, which is a bit of a shame. However, we found everything here. So this is the manual. The manual just show you a tiny bit where did they put the ratchet joints, how to install the cloak and the scarf. However, these are technically accessories, but since this is how it appears in the manga, I wouldn't call it really accessory, but just like the base out of it. So we're gonna look accessories, which are a couple of trigger hands, and these are well done. However, compared to the Gundam, the Gundam that we reviewed a few days ago, still by Blitzway, they are a tiny bit less precise into the painting. I do prefer by quite a bit the less expensive one. Anyway, these are axe hand, which you remove the lower part out of the axe and you plug it inside the hand. Nothing special about it. They are well done, don't get me wrong, it's just in the other model they were a tiny bit better done. Now these are scary hand, and these are like, pay attention not to give this toy to your kid hands because these are pretty sharp and they can hurt themselves. Now we're gonna see the axe, which I quite like because there is a bit of gradient between the silver and the more like smoky color out of it. However, the rest of the axe is not painted, which is a bit of a lost occasion. They could have had some extra detail out of it. Anyway, pretty easy to plug in, nothing special. And now we're gonna start to look into what we bought the product for, which is the robot. And we find ourselves our black getter, and it is absolutely too accurate, so there is really, I don't think there is any reinterpretation inside of it. I think this is as too accurate as it goes, but there might be one panel line extra on the arms that doesn't come from it, but I didn't see the anime in a few years, so I can't remember exactly. It is 23 centimeters high, and give it or take it, the weight, as far as I can guess, is around 1 kilogram once you keep in your hands, so a couple of pounds and like 9 inches. Once you keep it in your hands, you can find the diecast inside of it. This is a really diecast heavy figure, so it gives you the quality feeling out of it. I don't care much for the weight. However, when I carry something in my hands, you need to be able to feel the quality of the construction, and normally if they use materials that are too light, you cannot feel it. In this case, you can totally feel it. Now, there is something that I don't like with the scarf. It looks like just a piece of plastic slap over it. I'm borderline thinking about repainting it myself, because it is absolutely, I don't know, it is lower quality compared to the rest, and you will always expose it with the scarf. Now we're gonna look at the articulation with the accessories, because it's kind of useless to remove it, since I think 99% of the people will keep the scarf on. Anyway, ball peg on the hand and ball peg at the base of the neck, if I'm not wrong. So it is pretty rigid, and this is just because you need to warm up the joint. Anyway, it has mobility. Now the arms arrive at shoulder height, there is a bicep swivel, it goes 90 degrees, and there are some ratchet joints into it. Nothing crazy as the model that we saw yesterday. not as the compatible Kaiser. I think this one has 4 ratchet joints. Anyway, the hands are on ball peg, however the ball peg are super tight. There is a nub crunch, pretty rigid and nice, and there is a tiny bit of butterfly joints to extract the shoulder and give it a tiny bit more dynamic pose. However, the chest is completely locked. I mean, you can rotate the higher part, but not the middle section, which is kind of understandable thinking about how this robot is shaped. Now, the legs, I don't know if I got something wrong, and please let me know. I'm not able to extract them. I think they should be able to extract to reach more a split, a frontal split. However, it's not able. Anyway, ratchet on the knee, but there are no ratchet over the feet, which after the Mighty Kaiser look like a lost opportunity. Now from here you can shoot the getter beer, and there are a couple of light gimmicks inside the robot. However, I despite light gimmick, especially where they're as badly implemented as this, where you need to unscrew stuff. This is my understanding out of it, so better if they don't put it. Moreover, within the face, it looks dead. Like, it totally looks dead if you don't have the lights on, which is not how you want your toy to be presented. And we saw a lot of toys where actually even without the light on you can still see the eyes. So over this end, on this side, I'm not loving too much how they implemented light. They could have just removed it and it would have looked as good, since people will turn the light maybe once when they get through the robot. But articulation is kind of okay, remembering the shape of this robot without reinterpreting too much. Now we're gonna do as usual comparison. Tiny Lego dude, yes, it is tiny. Tiny as one of his feet. Then we're gonna look at another Blitzway, way higher quality, guys. This and I will go in conclusion more to it. This is Boss Robot, way higher quality. Just can put it. This is the Action Toys Heavy Metal Mazinger Z. Well, he's really big, and I like him like this. And now with the Grandizer from Sentinel, it's really tiny, and it is within a spacer. Now we're gonna go for conclusion, and just to go around pro and cons. Okay, articulation wise, I was expecting, as for cons, articulation wise, I was expecting a tiny bit better. The scarf is just bad. Like, honestly, the shape is right, but it looks cheaper compared to everything else. As I said, the articulation is okay by the shape, but is nothing as brilliant as we have been seeing lately. Now, accessories are fine, paint job is fine, sculpt is fine, we knew already what to expect for, and the clock is fine. However, when we got... so it is an overall fine figure, and the price is actually pretty good for what you get. However, just a couple of things over it. I don't think it is that good. Overall, it looks older, shape-wise, paint-wise, than the newer release by Blitzway, not at the same level of the last 3 releases we saw from them. And so I think this was just an old mold to try to get some extra money of some old work they did. I'm happy that they increased the weight and added some ratchet joint, but and I'm happy they did lower the price, obviously. But overall, the light gimmick on the eye and how they look when it's turned off, which is how it's gonna stay 99% of the time you look at him, I quite don't like it. Now, there are quite a few options for Black Getter. This is, I want to say, the more tone accurate out of it, but there are some that are more tasteful reinterpretation out of it, and there are a bit more hardcore reinterpretation. However, I want to say that between this one and the Sentinel older one, still can hold its own, even though it's really tiny by comparison. Anyway, if you like it, obviously buy it, and in both the case, please subscribe and like the video. Bye, guys.